Oh my goodness. All right. So for people that are not familiar with how this works, what I do is every week I send out an email to everyone on my email list, asking them what is your greatest struggle on your spiritual awakening journey. And then the people that respond to that, I address their concerns in a live stream every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific. If you're not in my email list, you can do so by getting your free guided meditation. There's a free guided meditation in the description. It's about 24 minutes long on abundance. If you're having trouble with abundance, it will rewire your thinking about abundance and help you identify as abundance so that you can experience more abundance. And anyway, that will put you into my email, and then you can get featured on a live stream. Well, my light has died, guys, so I guess it's not going to come back. Oh well. Let's see here. Emily. Hey, Emily. Great seeing you, my friend. All right. Susan, got to get on the list. Yes, Susan, get that guided meditation. You'll get right into the email list, and then we can get you featured on a live stream. So I will go ahead and jump in. I wonder if I should brighten that light over there. I don't know. I'm not used to having this other light off. Half of my face is dark. All right, so let's just go ahead and get the show on the road. We'll jump into our first response from the email. And after I do the responses from the email, then I circle back around and get your all's questions in the live stream. Katrina says we can still see you. Okay, good. Welcome, Katrina. Thank you for stopping by, my friend. I appreciate you. All right. Okay. Megan Payton says, I feel disassociated and can't get present. It's messing up my relationship with my partner. How can I not be disassociated? Oh, okay. So for those of you that are not familiar with the spiritual awakening process, the first stage of the spiritual awakening is the disassociation stage, where you feel disassociated from your current life. And this is because there has been a raising in your frequency, a raising in your conscious awareness that is now vibrationally dissonant with your current life. So you're out of alignment with your current life, which is why you feel disassociated. And, we have a lot of phrases that we throw around in the spiritual community. So you'll hear out of alignment and, it doesn't resonate. What does out of alignment really mean? Well, it means that you're not identifying as that thing anymore. So if you're out of alignment with your current life, then you're no longer identifying as that life. You're no longer identifying with maybe the career that you spent so long, building, or you're out of alignment with friends and family. Maybe they've got some beliefs that you now think are limited and fear-based, and you're on a different frequency, a frequency of expanding and growing and evolving. Maybe even a romantic partner that you no longer identify as, because your beliefs are a little different now. So that's all out of alignment means. So there's a raising in frequency. We know that this is a universe of frequency, vibration, and energy. So that out of alignment means there's just a lot of vibrational dissonance with where your heart is compared to where your current life is. And that's usually the first stage of the spiritual awakening. So how do you solve the disassociation? Number one is gratitude, because gratitude will allow you to sink into the present moment. And typically that for which you're grateful, you also identify as. There's a piece of your identity that is attached to whatever it is that you're grateful for. And If you're identifying as something, then that's you're associating with something. You're getting back in alignment with something. So the first thing that I would do is just start to list off everything that you are grateful for, no matter how mundane or small. I give thanks that my eyes can see. I give thanks that I'm healthy. I give thanks that I've got friends and family around me. Even if those relationships are a bit contentious and tumultuous, I know that on the deepest level they really love me and want the best for me. I've got people around me. I give thanks for this job that's allowing me to make a living. Some people are out of work, or some people are even homeless. Just make a list of everything. I give thanks for my dog. I give thanks for my cat. I give thanks for my car. um, I give thanks for just where I am in life and having the awareness to be grateful for it, right? And that gratitude allows you to align or identify as those things, and then you build that connection back again. Now, as far as it's hurting your relationship with your partner. Well, the gratitude saves the day with this as well, right? Because as soon as you're grateful for your partner, you're associating with your partner, you're identifying as a piece of your partner. That's where this connection comes back in. A very simple thing that you can do is sit down and write out everything that you love about your partner, everything that you're grateful for. And they can be, they don't have to be these huge, grandiose things that your partner did. They could be the smallest things. Hey, the other night at dinner, when I was explaining what happened at work, he asked a question that let me know he really was listening to me. Or, I love the way that he noticed that I got my nails done the other day, or whatever it can be so small. But once you start to list those things for which you're grateful, it's almost like automatic writing takes over, and there's more things for which you're grateful, and then you feel associated with that person again. You're identifying with that person again. And one of the things about making a gratitude list is you want to handwrite it out. Handwriting, there's a little bit more presence and effort needed, because I don't know about you guys, but I can kind of mindlessly type, and it's almost like my fingers are on autopilot and while I'm, paying attention to something over here. But handwriting really puts you into the present moment, and um it puts your energy in the words. So I am grateful for this. I am grateful for that. And there's that identity or association or alignment again. At the end of the day, your partner just wants to be seen, heard, and appreciated. So do that. Set some time aside. I know with a lot of people, there's the career and the kids and activities and all of these distractions that take away from a couple actually spending quality time. So go out of your way to set aside quality time. Maybe it's a date night, get a babysitter to take care of the kids, and you guys go on a date, right? And be present for that person. Maybe have a rule on the date. No phones allowed. No phones, right? You go to a restaurant and you see everyone, on their phone. It's like, are you kidding me? Look how beautiful this place is. Look at the atmosphere. Look at the person sitting right across from you who wants to be engaged and connected with. What do you get your face out of your phone? Like, I won't go off on a rant about that, but it's insane how people just like don't live in the present moment because their face is in their phone. But anyway, have that time set aside, like plan it, you know, this is our time, and be there for that person. Say, I see you. I'm here for you. Um, what are you fearing? That's a great question. What are you fearing? And then figure out how to walk through those fears together, holding each other's hands, walking through the, fires of hell, or whatever, but you're there for one another. That's really the thing. and you want to listen. Don't just hear, you want to listen. We've got to cultivate the talent of being able to listen to someone without turning it around and making it about us. And we all do this, and I used to do this as well. But you'll hear someone tell you a story, and then you've got to turn around and make it about you. Well, I used to do this, and I used to, and then immediately the person feels discounted. All of a sudden their story, which you were supposed to be listening to and providing space for, is no longer the main story. Now the spotlight has been switched over on you. So just learn how to listen without making it about yourself. And one of the best ways that you can do this is simply ask more questions about what they're talking about. Oh, well, I did this and I did that. Really? Well, how did that make you feel? Oh, well, wow. Well, what did your parents say about that? Really? Well, what happened when you did this? Ask them questions about their journey. And that will absolutely make you feel more aligned with that person, identify with that person. Um, and that will help you to let your partner know that you appreciate him or her. And usually when you appreciate someone, they appreciate you back. That gratitude frequency is contagious. It really is. That gratitude frequency um you know allows you guys to be in a present moment. And guess what? When you're in gratitude, what are you not in? Fight or flight, survival mode, right? There's not this contentious energy of misalignment, because you're grateful for one another, you're holding space for one another, and you see and hear each other, and you're putting yourself in their shoes. You're practicing that empathy, and that will do wonders for your relationship. And it will also allow you to be aligned again with that current life and help that disassociation. The disassociation, as I say, it's where you're no longer identifying as that current life, which is sparks the dark night of the soul, right? Because the dark night of the soul, it's what we call ego death, but the ego is really just identity. And I like to say ego death and rebirth, because ego death is only half of the story. But if you say ego death and rebirth, oh, well, now that lets the ego know that it's not a threat to survival. Remember, the ego is in charge of the survival of the identity. So when you say ego death, oh no, that's a threat to survival. But when you say ego death and rebirth, now the ego says, oh, rebirth. Now I've got something to hold on to or look forward to. There's not a threat to survival. So it kind of has that phoenix energy around it, right? The phoenix dies, and then out of the ashes, comes the higher version. So this is where that spiritual identity crisis comes into play, because the new identity is still in the dark, hence dark night of the soul. That's why you feel disassociated, because the new identity is not in alignment with the life that you just came from. You woke up from your current life, you're misaligned with it, meaning you're not identifying as it, but the ego thinks it's a threat to survival because that new identity hasn't shown its face yet. It's in the dark, hence dark night of the soul. But if you remember ego death, which is dark night of the soul, ego death and rebirth, then you understand that it's more of a part of the process, just like the bird dying and then being reborn as the phoenix is a part of the process. So you got to trust that those ashes are for your greatest good, which is going to transform you into your greatest version. So does that help on that question? Megan, are you in the comments? I don't know if that resonated or not. Oh, let's see here. Got all kinds of people all up in the chat. Lighting is okay, says Emily. All right, nice. Thank you, Emily. Great advice. Thank you, says Drea. Everything just kind of happens naturally for me. No matter how much I try, happens naturally. Awesome. Good job, Susan. And I'm not regular XR. Is it normal to have intrusive thoughts during a spiritual awakening or when the ego is dissolving? Absolutely. And I'll circle back around to that question after I finish the comments from the emails. Matt Roy, what's up, brother? Good seeing you, my man. Date night meaning late night phone use. No, put the phones away. Katrina, get your face out of the phone. Absolutely. All righty. All right. So before we get on to the next comment here, PSA, be kind to one another, guys. I see people losing their minds out there in the matrix. Everyone's triggered for something. Be kind to people. Oh yeah. Also, so I've got I'm doing a summer flash sale, half price off on the 5-week digital course. So remember, on the digital course, the 5 weeks are how to meditate, self-worth healing, self-love healing, shadow work, and then inner child work. That's the 5-week course, and that is now half price. Check the description for that. We got the one-on-one Zoom coaching. We'll get you through the dark night of the soul. Well, if you're an empath, we'll help empower you, show you how to set some boundaries, heal that self-worth, heal that self-love, learn how to meditate. Check the description for that. You can also send a text if you are in the US or Canada for a quick discovery call on the one-on-one coaching. Anywhere else, just check the description, click coaching options, and that will set you up for the discovery call. Let's get on to our next little thing here. Okay. Oh, that's right. She wanted to remain anonymous on this one. How do you break the cycle of mundanity? Yeah, I think that's how you say that. How do you break the cycle of mundanity in a relationship and reconnect with your partner if you lost the spark due to settling? Ooh, settling. Now that throws everything off. That word right there it changes the whole scope of this question. We have two different belief systems. Okay, how to make it work. Okay, so this question is kind of in alignment with the previous question. Sorry. There we go. So I was going to kind of give the same advice. So how do you, re-spark a relationship? It would be the same advice as the previous, which is gratitude. Set that time aside, see your partner, appreciate your partner, hear your partner, walk down that road of what are they fearing, and then, formulate that plan to get through those fears together as a team. But there's one word that is just a flashing light for me in this comment, and that is the word settling. Settling means that you chose that relationship without a proper understanding of your self-worth. That's a whole different ballgame, because that means that you started that relationship from a disempowered state. So in other words, you were at a different phase in your evolutionary growth. Maybe you trauma bonded to that relationship to soothe some abandonment trauma. The thing is that once you start to evolve and grow, once you start to evolve and grow, it's going to be really tough to get that spark back into the relationship if the partner is not willing to grow with you. Because if your partner is not willing to grow with you, you're constantly going to be dimming your light just to keep this relationship with someone that you may still love, but are not in love with. There's a big difference. It's hard to feel in love with someone if you don't believe that they're on your level. So that word settling, it changes the whole game, because why are you keeping it if you've outgrown it, or if it's beneath your worth for where you are now? And that answer is usually, well, the ego believes it's a threat to survival to let it go. So you've got to kind of figure out, what is that threat to survival? If I let this person go that I'm no longer in love with, is that going to open up that wound of abandonment trauma? Or maybe it's a financial issue. Maybe it's just not financially feasible, to end that relationship. But, you know, the key is your partner has to grow with you. And you put something very interesting here. We have two different belief systems. Now, I don't know what those two different belief systems are, but a lot of times it's religion and spirituality. Those two butt heads because religion is fear and spirituality is love. Those are two polar opposite frequencies. So if they're at two polar opposite ends of the spectrum, they can't be in the same space to create that spark that you're looking for. They can't share the same space. And I don't know. And again, I don't know your situation of what those two different belief systems are, but it's probably love and fear in some way, shape, or form. He or she may be in a fear-based, limited, just, blinders on, 3D matrix asleep type of mentality. You seem like you're probably more awake. You're probably going through a spiritual awakening, right? That's why you're watching this channel and other channels like it. You're growing and expanding. And, for you, it's evolutionary growth, it's expansion, it's endless possibilities. If your partner is not on that frequency, they're not going to grow with you, which means you're constantly going to be dimming your light for what? To keep someone that you're no longer in love with? That's not going to fulfill your heart, and you're always going to be unhappy. And so it's interesting because I'm looking at this comment and I see the parts of the ego. Well, how do we make it work? How do we get the spark? The ego is like, how do I keep? How do I keep? How do I keep? I don't want to lose. But then the heart peeks through and says, settling, different belief systems. The reason that the heart is making an issue of different belief systems is because that's a vibrational mismatch. The heart is not saying, oh, I'm awake and you're asleep. It's not that, which is ego. It's really the heart saying, this is not in alignment with the reason that you decided to incarnate, because it's vibrationally dissonant from the reason that you decided to incarnate, and it's going to be an issue, and it's going to keep you off of that trajectory for the reason that you decided to incarnate, because you're settling and the belief systems are different. If he's not willing to grow with you, he or she is not willing to grow with you. So you kind of have to decide why you want to keep that relationship. Does it have anything to do with healing or soothing some type of unhealed trauma? Is it a threat to survival to let it go? And when I say threat to survival, what unhealed trauma is screaming, no, I can't let it go. I can't let it go. Now it may be a financial thing, but there's always ways around that. Again, I don't know your situation, but whenever you move toward your heart, the universe is going to find a way. Oh, well, maybe, alimony and child support will take care of me for a little bit, and then I can, switch over to this and that. There's ways are going to be provided when you follow your heart. But you just have to ask yourself, are you in love with the person, and are they willing to grow with you? If they're not, you're going to keep dimming your light just to keep them for what? Really, what is the threat to survival if you let them go? So this might be a great opportunity just have that time set aside to say, we need to talk. I need you to grow with me. And you kind of have to, weigh the pros and cons. Like, if this person is not going to grow with you, is your heart going to be fulfilled? That's kind of the thing. It's really hard to be in love with someone that you don't think is on your level. So that's, when the word settling, like I say, that word settling is just screaming at me. And settling means that you started that relationship without a proper understanding of your self-worth, which typically means the relationship is meant to be a short-term lesson, instead of a long-lasting thing, so that you learn your worth, basically. So I can't ask Anonymous if that helped, because then she'll reveal her identity. But email me. You know who you are. Email me. Let me know if that resonated with you. And I appreciate your comment there. What do we got here? The Jarv. Jarv's got some thumbs up. Yes, indeed. I'm tingling. Good stuff. Matt says you rock. What up, man? What up, brother? Susan. Major issue for me is I've also grown. For me, also, as I grow, my husband hates it. He says things like the old you wouldn't have done that or said that. It's always the old me. Yeah, that old you is probably more controllable. The old you is probably more, what's the right word? Well, let me say it this way. If the old you was not using your voice, if the old you was not defending your boundaries, and the old you was a bit easier manipulated than new you, yeah, that's going to piss him off because he can't control you. Oh, let me know if that resonates, Susan. I'm just saying what comes to mind. It's just what it sounds like. I might be wrong. All right, what do we got here? People say you choose your life when you incarnated, but it's tough seeing family experience suffering and feeling their pain whilst believing they chose it, especially partner and children. Emily G. Okay. Yeah, so this is definitely something that I talk about quite a bit, and I always get a lot of pushback on it because people are like, "Oh my God, why would I choose this? Are you crazy?" That's the ego. The ego doesn't know why this would be something that you're doing of your own volition, right? Why would you have chosen this? The ego wasn't around before incarnation, and the ego is in charge of survival. So of course the ego is going to lose its mind. But I'm going to start this out. I'm going to start this out with an example that I heard from Dolores Cannon speaking on this topic. And, she was talking about how we all chose our experience and why we decide to incarnate, and we choose our trauma, and we choose what's going to happen on our timeline. And inevitably, there's always someone in the audience that says, well, what about the children that die? And what about the 4-year-olds that get cancer and die, or the stillborns, and this and that? And they're right. There's always these, extreme examples that a particular concept has to be able to fit in. And I really resonate with her explanation. And she got this explanation from thousands of past life regressions that she was doing for all of her clients that are from all over the world that don't know each other, and they're all saying the same thing. So there's something there. And what she got from her clients that were under hypnosis doing past life regressions is that there's a huge waiting list, if you will, to incarnate into Earth. There's a lot of souls that just want to get into Earth. Some of these souls have never been human before. Some have never incarnated into a physical body. Some have been in a physical body and other, planets or dimensions or just whatever, but they've never been on Earth before. And so some are willing to just incarnate for a short period of time, just to kind of dip their toe in the water. They don't want the full, human lifespan. They just want to dip their toe in the water, see what it's like to be human, see what it's like to be on Earth for a little bit. And then they end up making an agreement with the parents through which they incarnate, or the parents that give them birth. And that agreement goes something like this: Hey, I'm going to show up for a short period of time in your life, and I'm going to teach you the most visceral, palpable lesson of love that I can teach you. I'm going to teach you to never take anything for granted, cherish everyone in your life as if it's the last day, because it could be. And this is an agreement that is made, right? And so this is where soul contracts come in. And so this child comes in for a very short time, and this agreement is made to teach a lesson of love, of gratitude, of cherishing every single moment, every single day, and not taking any loved one for granted, because it could be their last day or your last day, and you just never know. And that lesson teaches those parents to live in the present moment, cherishing every single minute of every day, and not having their mind off into the future, worrying about mundane human stuff. They're actually in the present moment, grateful for life. And that's the soul contract that is made. Now, I got that from Dolores Cannon, and that hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, boom, yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense. Because if you really think about it, so Emily, ask yourself, what is this soul contract that maybe your partner and your child made with you? Are they are they training your compassion and your compassion skills, your empathy skills? Are they training your healing skills? Are they teaching you to not take anything for granted? Are you loving them more every day because you're feeling what they're going through? And it's a bonding experience, because you're helping them get through it. You've got empathy for them, and your healing skills are coming online, and you guys are holding hands, getting through those tough times together. That could be a soul contract right there. So if we kind of take a step back and look at the bigger picture of things, that gives you a different perspective than just the ego being uncomfortable with seeing hurting and pain and saying, well, why did I choose this? Well, the ego wasn't around before you chose it. That's exactly why. So how real would this training simulation be if you knew that it wasn't real, right? So we incarnate for the contrast. So if you're coming from the perspective of omnipresent, non-physical, how can you experience loss? You can't experience loss if you are everything. There's nothing to lose. You are everything. That's the perspective of source. So the only way that you can experience loss is to incarnate into the temporary physical. You experience that loss and then get the lesson of not taking for granted, get that lesson of love, get that lesson of cherishing every single moment. That's not a lesson that you can get from non-physical eternal perspective, because you are everything, right? So this is the reason for incarnating, is to experience the contrast, to get a greater understanding of your true essence. It's like, this is why we take on the ego. We take on the ego to forget from whence we came. That makes the simulation 1,000% real. And that makes the change and the lessons and the experience so palpable that the change and the spiritual evolution actually happens. So, Emily, let me know if that made sense, if that resonated. I think it's the same Emily that's in the comments there. I saw her somewhere. Lady Pho TV. Hi, Lady Pho TV. Thank you for stopping by. I haven't seen you before. Welcome. Infinity to infinity and beyond. Welcome, my friend. How are you? The soul contract. Theory, I'm not sure what that word is, could give bad people excuses to do bad stuff. Yeah, if you're awake enough to call BS on their excuse of a soul contract, yeah, you're going to see through that in a New York minute and set those boundaries and defend those boundaries vehemently. It's one thing about being awake. When you understand your self-worth and your divinity and your self-love is at a healthy level, you call out BS ASAP because you're not trying to get any type of approval or validation from that person that's trying to be disingenuous or manipulative. All right, let's see here. Let me jump on to the next one. David, how can I stay motivated to follow my life purpose when everything fails when I go down that path? Plus, my family is negative about my path. Yeah. And think that I'm crazy. Suggestions, Vanessa. Okay, so when you are experiencing failures going down the path of your life purpose, a lot of times that's just the universe forcing you to find a better structure or system for that life purpose or that heart led business that's going to work for the long term. A lot of times, maybe we have some ideas on how to get that heart led business or that life purpose started, but those ideas will only kind of work in the short term. So a lot of times the universe is forcing you to find a better way to make it last for the long term. You know, they say necessity is the mother of all inventions. So if it's necessary for you to find a better way to make that business work or that life purpose work long term, the universe is going to keep making everything that doesn't work long term fail, essentially. So basically the universe is keeping you from getting entangled with the lesser through failure so that you're available for the greater. um, as far as the family being negative and not supporting, you know, anytime that you raise your frequency and your conscious awareness, you're going to agitate. Yeah, you're going to agitate their paradigm, their belief system, maybe their fear based limited belief systems. Maybe you're going to agitate their perception of you, because once you start growing and evolving and expanding, and there's a lot of vibrational dissonance between how they normally treat you and how you are no longer accepting how they normally treat you, they understand that they're going to have to change to keep you. And that change, people don't like to change. You know, that change can be scary. And them changing is also internally, without them even realizing it, is them admitting that they're in the wrong, and that they've been taken advantage of, and they're going to have to do better, to keep you. And so when you start to rise and grow and expand, you're going to really agitate the limited beliefs of friends and family. You're going to really irritate the little box that they have you in. They may have, compartmentalized you for so long, and now all of a sudden you're no longer fitting into this box, and the ego doesn't know how to control things. When the ego can't control things, the ego believes it's a threat to survival. They don't know how to control you, right? You're off on this, vision of grandiose dreams and wanting to do all of these things that is outside of what they believe is possible for them. And that throws them into all kinds of, fight or flight. So, I'm getting the vision of, have you guys ever seen the hawk? The hawk that just sits there and hovers, and then you've got all these blackbirds kind of diving it. The hawk is not bothered. The hawk is just keeping his eye on the prize, scouting the land. These blackbirds are losing their mind, dive bombing him. He doesn't care. He's not thrown off or distracted. So family and friends, they're just the blackbirds that are diving at the hawk. If it's your heart's goal, your heart's desire, you keep your eye on the prize, and they can't throw you off. They're just upset that you're no longer fitting into their box, and they realize that they have to change to keep you in their life. Essentially, that's typically what that is. Vanessa, are you in the chat? Does that help? Oh, Christine Wright made it. Are you on your lunch break, Christine Wright? We're past the half hour mark. Aren't you usually just here for the first half hour? Hey, Light Fam, I guess I should have read the comment first and then and then asked the question. Hey, Light Fam, I get to catch about 20 minutes of this live. Hope everyone's having a blessed day. Doesn't look like everyone who's in the room has hit the like button. Oh, that's right. Thank you, Christine Wright. Let's put her comment on the screen there. Smash that like button. Love and like the video. Namaste the heck out of that subscribe button. Oh, I appreciate you, Christine. All right, guys. So I always leave the last 15 minutes for any questions in the comment section. Oh, there was someone I was supposed to circle back around to. Let me scroll all the way back up. Somebody. Who was that person? Ah, yes. The I'm not regular person, XR. Okay. Is it normal to have intrusive thoughts during a spiritual awakening or when your ego is dissolving? Absolutely, because think about what you just said. When your ego is dissolving, that's a threat to survival. The ego is in charge of survival. So when the ego is dissolving or changing and that new ego or that new identity has not come into your timeline yet, that's a threat to survival. So yeah, you're going to have those intrusive thoughts because that's the ego wanting to keep you in your comfort zone, in your safe little sandbox. Oh no, you can't do this. You gotta play it safe. You gotta stay where you are, stay in your lane. Don't get outside of your comfort zone. Don't go after those life dreams. Don't go after your life purpose. Oh, you're probably going to fail. All of that stuff is the ego trying to preserve what it considers to be its identity, what it considers to be its life, by not getting outside of the comfort zone. The ego believes on the other side of the comfort zone is death. The ego has no idea on the other side of that comfort zone is freedom, it's expansion. On the other side of fear is freedom. So the ego is going to throw a whole bunch of self-sabotaging nonsense at you so that it can retain its sense of identity. The problem is that its current sense of identity is out of alignment with where your heart wants you to go. It's out of alignment with the identity that your heart knows that you truly are. So in other words, this is the false self. The false self is the identity that the ego believes that you need to be to survive, right? Well, if I stay in this job that I hate, I'll survive. If I stay in this relationship with this person I no longer love, I'll survive. If I continue to believe my family's crazy, nonsensical, fear-based religion, I'll survive. They won't kick me out of, the cool club, right? But your heart knows that this is out of alignment with what you truly want. But the ego says, oh, that false self has to live to survive. So you're going to get a lot of intrusive thoughts in the way of self-sabotage so that the ego can retain its false self-identity. But just understand that as soon as you start taking action steps in the direction of what the ego fears, you're physically demonstrating to the ego that it's not a threat to survival. And then you start to gain confidence in yourself because you're starting to gain momentum. And you gain that self-confidence because you're trusting yourself enough to take those actions. And those actions are panning out. You didn't die. You're still alive. Must not be a threat to survival. And then the ego starts to calm down a little bit and says, oh, well, okay, maybe this new identity is feasible. Maybe we can do this. We got some positive feedback from those action steps. Okay. All right. I'm on board. I'm not so, up in arms, creating a whole bunch of anxiety because I don't have the answers. So you take the action steps and then you get the answers. Does that help? I am not regular. I was going to make a constipation joke about that username, but I decided not to. I'm just kidding, my friend. Nothing but love for you. I'm just being goofy. I am not regular. Oh my goodness. I hope you have a sense of humor. By the way, I'm not ragging on you. I'm just being stupid. What other questions do we have, guys? Teresa Ross. Hey, Teresa Ross. How's it going? Dancing cloud. If I repeat those words on here, YouTube will give me a community guideline strike and demonetize me. So unfortunately, I can't even touch that. Big Brother is watching, and their fascist system will quickly crush anyone that thinks outside of their nonsensical narrative that they're trying to push. So is what it is. Katrina. Any other question, guys? Oh, wait a minute. What is this here? Oh, that's a long one. I'm going to have to put that on the screen. Infinity says, people of the law of assumption community say that you can recreate people, huh? Okay. By the way you think about them. So they literally say you can co-create a narc to be a narc, and you can change this person by. I know that there's a character limit, I think, on the. Oh, it went into the next one. By the power of your thoughts. Okay. No. So let me say it a little bit differently. You're not going to create or co-create an entire person, but you're not going to turn them into a narc or not a narc based off of your power of belief. The law of assumption, what you're going to do is you're going to change how they respond to you. You're not changing them. You're going to change how they respond to you. So if you are assuming that their trauma is healed, and you're assuming that they're always going to respond to you with love and respect and kindness and compassion, and maybe you even do some ho'oponopono on them, they are going to respond differently to you. But that's not to say that you're going to heal them. Their healing is their responsibility. They are the only ones that can change themselves. And that is an inside job of, shadow work and healing childhood trauma that makes them a narc or whatever other type of unhealed trauma there is. But they will respond to you in a much more loving and accepting manner, less in that fear-based type of frequency. If you are, again, this is spiritual alchemy, right? So you're sending them, I love you, thank you. I'm assuming that they're going to act in a loving, compassionate way, and that is going to change how they respond to you and how you perceive how you perceive their behavior towards you. So your perception has a lot to do with it. If your perception is, oh, this person is a narc and they're always going to try to manipulate, and I'm just waiting for some narc things to come out of their mouth, that's what you're looking for. And what you're looking for is what you will find. But you're also changing your own perspective. Now you're looking for ways that they're a little bit more understanding. You're looking for ways that they're a little bit more compassionate, and you're giving gratitude for them, and you're sending love energy to them, and it's healing that energetic core between you two. And not only will it cause them to act different to a degree, but it's also going to change your perception of how they are acting toward you, because you're not looking for the narc, you're looking for the love. But I say it's going to change their behavior to a degree because that unhealed trauma is still going to affect their behavior. But like I say, Ho'oponopono works like magic. It really does. And it puts you guys on a different frequency to where they respond differently to you and you perceive their behavior towards you more openly instead of looking for the narc behavior specifically. So I like that definition a little bit better, as far as co-creating someone out of your thoughts and all that, and healing their. Basically, what they're saying is you're healing their trauma through your power of thought. And no, I don't think that's going to happen because that trauma is for them to heal so that they get the lesson. If you healed it for them, they don't get the lesson. That's like I forgot whose channel it was, but someone had a thumbnail. Your spirit guides are breaking a repeating cycle. I'm like, they no, they're not. They don't do that. Why would they do that? Because you wouldn't get the lesson. You have to break the repeating cycle, which comes from healed trauma. You got to heal that trauma, and that's what breaks the actual cycle. Spirit guides don't do that. They're not going to heal the trauma for you. Otherwise, you don't get the lesson. What's the point of having the trauma without the lesson? I just had to say that because I see so many of these, false light channels putting nonsense out there to make people feel warm and fuzzy, and that's just not how it works. So let me know, Infinity, if that helped. Oh, I have to scroll down. That's what it is. 1984. Yeah, I agree. Orwellian society is on the way. Bye bye, paper money. We're going to control all your money digitally now. You better have a good social score. You better believe our narrative. Otherwise, you don't get the money. All right, I'm going to get off of that. I'm going to get shut down. All right, we got Lorraine Chambers. Is it normal to experience fatigue? I was always an energetic person, but with the last 2 years, I feel unmotivated, just feel wiped out. I always say first consult a doctor. Number one, get your blood checked, get your levels checked, just get everything checked out. And then also just kind of look at the normal stuff like food, sleep, how much sleeping you're getting. Are you staying hydrated? Are you drinking enough water? Do you have a high amount of stress? Is your mind constantly off in some future scenario, fear mongering, giving you a whole bunch of anxiety? That's tiring as well. Mental exhaustion is way more tiring than physical exhaustion. So just kind of check home base first. But you could be going through ascension symptoms. This is something that I talk about quite a bit. You'll see a lot of people in the spiritual community talk about it, where, this is the age of awakening. This is the age of enlightenment. So the earth is being bombarded with higher light codes, higher light frequencies. Now, it's very easy for the energy body to pick up these light codes and raise its frequency because it's just energy. However, your denser physical body has a harder time recalibrating to a higher frequency because it's dense energy, right? So the cells of your body have consciousness. So the cells of your body hold that stress. They hold unhealed trauma. They hold denser fear and hurt, that type of frequency. And when they're trying to raise, that stuff anchors your physical body down. And so the physical body tries to purge those denser frequencies to recalibrate to where the energy body is, to recalibrate where the energy body is picking up these higher light codes. And one, that's very tiring. And two, the ego has no idea what in the world is going on. The ego has a really hard time understanding the esoteric. So the ego will interpret this higher frequency as anxiety. The ego says, hey, I don't know what this is. I don't know this higher frequency. Anxiety must be a threat to survival, right? So you get anxiety. And then the body is worn out by trying to do all of this purging to recalibrate into a higher frequency to keep up with the energy body. This is ascension symptoms. So this is where fatigue comes in. So when you're going through ascension symptoms, one, you want to make sure that you're staying very hydrated. We are 60% water-ish, something like that. And so what does water do? Water flushes, right? So when the body is trying to flush the denser energies that no longer serve, you want to give the body as much flushing energy as possible. So definitely stay hydrated, make sure you're getting all of your sleep, and then try to stay grounded. Grounded meaning get out in nature, or actual grounding or earthing, which is where you're taking your shoes off, you're putting your feet in the grass, and this is called earthing. Definitely check that out, or buy an earthing mat. It has the same effect, and that keeps you grounded. And you also want to do things to kind of entertain your inner child. So if you're feeling really fatigued, if you're doing things that you used to love to do as a kid, the inner child feels seen and heard. You're being creative. Maybe you used to like to draw or paint or, ride a bike or do whatever. And when the inner child is feeling happy and entertained, the inner child is not in survival mode, fight or flight. There's not a safety issue going on there, right? And so when you're going through ascension symptoms, try to ground, have a lot of rest, drink that water, but also entertain that inner child. Do something creative. Do the things I used to love to do as a kid. And then you should, get through those ascension symptoms a lot easier. But again, check home base first, right? Make sure that your levels are good. Oh, I see some super chats. Uh-oh. Thank you, guys. Let's see. Katrina Hughes. Okay. Thank you, Katrina. I appreciate you. And we have a tradition here on the light stream. Every time someone gives a super chat, we always do an oracle reading. Hey, all right. Well, let's see what we got here. What do the old oracle cards say today? Got my handy dandy deck. What is on Katrina's timeline today? We're going to get mystical on Katrina Hughes. All right, what do we got? The tribe. All righty. So the tribe is a very interesting card. A tribe, the tribe card is a card of community. And you'll see the number 8 there. 8 has to do with abundance. And abundance doesn't necessarily have to be a monetary thing. It can be an abundance of friends or like-minded individuals. Typically, when I see the 8 with the tribe card, this is an abundance of like-minded people. So the tribe means that keep your energetic feelers out for your vibe tribe. And, especially in today's digital world, you can follow a lot of people on social media that are like-minded. They're, dropping spiritual awakening content. Make sure it's real spiritual awakening and it doesn't, not a bunch of fear. There's a bunch of fear mongering out there. If you see, if anything is fear, it's not real spirituality. But follow the spiritual people and just kind of build that vibe tribe. I feel like it's a card that's saying that you need to find your vibe tribe. You need to find like-minded individuals. And I think that number 8 is saying that there is a plethora of like-minded individuals out there where you're able to kind of bounce ideas and concepts off of one another and help each other grow. So under some of the really big channels, you can make friends with people in the comments, and then you might follow them and they might be posting a bunch of spiritual awakening content, and, you start growing your vibe tribe virtually. So Katrina, let me know if that helps. And then we got Infinity. All right, Infinity, you are up next for the oracle message. Infinity says, thank you. Yes, I love that explanation. Nice. Andrea says, deep. You're always on point, David. Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate you. All right, here we go. What is Infinity's message? By the book, number 11. Okay. So, by the book is a card that pretty much means whatever you're trying to do, no need to reinvent the wheel. What you're trying to do has been done successfully before. You don't have to try to make it more complicated than it actually is. And you can just trust the process, go by the book, don't try to reinvent the wheel, and you'll get to where you're trying to go. And you have divine help. That number 11, if it's on the camera there, oh, it's on this side, is a master number. That's the number of the in-between worlds. Those ones are the door between the physical and the non-physical. So there's open communication from the other side. Your team in the unseen on the other side is helping you on whatever endeavor that you're on right now. I feel like you're on some type of an endeavor that you haven't quite figured out, and you may be trying to overthink it, and you may be trying to reinvent the wheel instead of just trusting the process, going by the book, keeping it simple, and staying on the fastest, straightest course to where you're trying to go. So let me know if that resonates with you, Infinity. And thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate you. Sending light and love your way. Oh, we're over, huh? Well, I'll tell you what, let's get a couple more in. We always like to give extra value here at Lightways. Lorraine says, I've been checked out from head to toe. Okay, so maybe ascension symptoms. So those are the advice that I just gave on ascension symptoms. Try to see if that helps you out. Let's see here. Christian Alvarado. Hey, Christian, how are you, my friend? Welcome to the stream. Don't think I've seen you before. I've always been afraid of the dark since I was a kid. Since going through my awakening journey in 12 of 21, I get waves of being afraid of the dark. Any recommendations on how I can overcome that? Yeah. Reprogram your conditioning of the dark. The dark being bad is typically religious programming. And then Hollywood jumps on the bandwagon with all of, the horror movies, and the villain always wears black and all of this stuff. Darkness is not bad. I always get on the soapbox about this. Darkness is also source, because source is all things. The night is needed just as much as the sun is needed. The flower would burn up in the sun if it didn't have the reprieve of the night. The caterpillar needs the darkness of that cocoon before it is birthed into the butterfly. Divine feminine, yin, that's dark energy. Light energy is yang, the masculine, and they both complement one another for whatever one is lacking, the other one is compensating for. And the darkness always also has hidden knowledge. And you have to understand you are also darkness. You have aspects of light and dark. So first of all, dark is not bad. It's just a different frequency. It's a denser frequency. It's not a bad frequency. It's just a denser frequency. Light is a lighter energy. But a lot of the traits of dark energy is warrior energy, protector energy, creator energy. It's inward attractor energy. So just kind of reprogram your concept of dark. Darkness is not bad. And what else is in the darkness? Hidden knowledge. Why is it hidden? Well, because it's in the darkness. This is why we don't make an enemy of our shadow, because our shadow, yes, it has unhealed trauma, but our shadow also has aspects of ourselves that the ego has hidden in that shadow because it didn't believe that it was necessary for survival. But maybe those aspects that the ego repressed in the shadow are part of your superpowers. It's part of the reason that you decided to incarnate. And if you let those things out of the darkness, you transform into a greater version of yourself. Only staying on the side of the light is out of balance. That's a lot of these false light channels that are obsessed with the light, 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 light. We got to fight the darkness. And, they're obsessed with the light. That typically means they're fearing the darkness. And fear is the opposite frequency of the dominant frequency of source, which is love. So by definition, fighting and fearing is the opposite of spiritual. So we don't fear the darkness because fear is not a spiritual awakening. We go into the darkness and ask, what are you here to teach me? What can I learn? What is the hidden knowledge? Where am I in alignment with fear? Is that fear even real? Let's face those fears. On the other side of fear is freedom, right? So we got to get out of the religious nonsense. Oh, the darkness is bad and evil, and all that is programming. It's religious programming. It's nonsense. Darkness is not bad. It's a necessary part of a balanced universe, and the universe loves balance because source is also the darkness. So it's just a reprogramming. Christian, let me know if that helps you, my friend. Uh-oh. Lorraine Chambers with the super sticker. Hey, Lorraine, how are you, my friend? I appreciate you. Namaste. Let's see what is on Lorraine's timeline with the magic oracle cards. All right. This is called the Lightweight Shuffle. Lightweight Shuffle, ready to go. What do we got? Blessed. Woo! That's an awesome card. Look at that one. So I don't know if you guys have seen my angel numbers video, but there's a chart in there that gives the definition of some of the angel numbers. And 222 means trust the process. So you are blessed. You may have some fears right now, but it's not anything that is going to derail you from your life. You just got to trust the process, and you are blessed. Look at that little, let's see, what does that look like? A little shell or something that she's sitting in, and see that face? That's the face of the divine. So she's in that protective shell. The divine is protecting you. And just trust the process and you will fly. Look at those wings. So you've got great stuff on the way. Trust the process. You are blessed. Does that help, Lorraine? Let me know if that resonates. Christian says, wow, amazing. Your explanation is gold. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you. Katrina, what a beautiful card it is, right? All right, guys. We are 11 minutes over. Any other questions? I'll take one more. Hey, Gigi, great seeing you. I know you just showed up at the very end there, Gigi, but this does post immediately, so you're able to catch the replay. All right. All right, guys. Any other questions? Lorraine says, thank you. It does. That card was pulled for me a few days ago. Ooh, confirmation. Love it when the universe confirms. There we go. Gigi says, I would like a card as well. All right, guys, we'll do a card. Let's see. What do we got for Gigi? Oh, it's upside down. I don't think they do reverse in Oracle, do they? I don't know. Milk and honey. Ooh, the land of milk and honey. So if we look at the numbers, 5 means a fortuitous life change. and one is divinely guided. So this would mean that there is a divinely guided life change where you're headed toward the land of milk and honey. See that face up there at the top? There's the divine. You've got that rainbow. And at the end of the rainbow, we've got the land of milk and honey. Is that a baby elephant in there? What is that? Well, elephants represent abundance. So that's a good thing. And it's a baby. So maybe it's abundance that's going to be growing. So it sounds to me, Gigi, that you are on the right path. So wherever your path is headed, sounds like you're headed to the path of milk and honey. Let's see. It looks nothing moving like freezing. My girl want a bit. No idea what you're saying. Sorry. Thank you for so much for everything. You are amazing. I had multiple 111s. Nice. Oh, you had the 11 on your card, huh? Boom. There it is. I love it. Well, all right, guys. If there's no more questions, we will wrap it up. The wrap it up box. We will do another one next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific. And don't forget, you can catch the replay. This will be posted. And check the description for your free guided meditation on abundance. That does get you into the email list so that your question can be answered on the live stream. And if you want to do some one-on-one coaching with me, check the description below for that. We will get you solidly on your spiritual path without the fear. We will alchemize that fear into love so that you can step into your greatest version. All right, guys. I have come in time. Doing, been, seeing to everywhere. Now I need to find your numbers video. Yeah, so it's just look up angel numbers. And in that video, there's a chart that and once your spirit guides know that you have that chart, they'll specifically design their messages around that chart. So you at least get kind of the bigger picture of the general message, like when you see a 333 or a 222, but then also stop and think about what you're thinking about exactly at the time that you saw that message. And then that's how you know that that's your sign for specifically what you're thinking about. All right, guys. I love all of you guys. I will see all of you in the next live. Light, love, and abundance to all that are watching and to all you love. Peace, guys.